And hey, Ben, how's it going?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Good to see you.
Great.
I
Well,
wanted to introduce you to Alex Mason, one of the Sales Hacker co-organizers here in Portland, Oregon. Hey, Alex, give us a little background on what's going on for you.
yeah, sure. I just moved to Portland from Vancouver, Canada, and the reason why is really the amazing number of craft breweries and the awesome lifestyle in Portland, as well as the growing startup scene and the real, I think, opportunity to get involved in kind of sales processes. My background a bit, I've done business development, everything from sell timeshare on the street in Gran Canaria to raise millions of dollars for publicly traded companies. I've built teams. I've implemented all these different sales strategies for other companies. I'm currently working on a company called Closebox, which basically helps sales teams better leverage sales content in order to actually know exactly who to follow up with and how to follow up with them.
Fantastic. Ben, give us a little background on what you're doing down there in Phoenix.
Yeah, so I am 3 weeks into hopefully finishing an initial front end process. I give complete credit to Chris and Nick and Matt Ekstrom down here and Gerard Bailey. I knew nothing before I met any of you four guys, and now I feel like I've got a great kind of, like SalesStack for dummies. So I'm trying to explore every tool that I can just to see what's going to work best, what's most cost effective. We've got everything set up, and we're going to launch a very strong campaign this Monday.
Super cool.
Fantastic. Nick, what's your backstory? Why are you so deeply embedded in the sales stack?
Because I love startups and I hate it when they don't sell anything and fail. So
That's a solid problem.
you've got me super interested in the space, and after seeing how much that I didn't know about outbound sales and sales acceleration in general, I had to get involved. Super fun.
Exactly. We've got a Slack team of what, 135 people right now?
It's growing fast.
And I'm excited that we've got about half a dozen that want to serve as channel moderators. So we're going to roll
I think
out.
it's a cool idea. I've seen it done in some other Slack teams as kind of granular as naming a channel after a certain person to say, Chris is this channel. He kind of moderates it and runs it. And I think that people like that format. So hopefully we get some good engagement out of it.
Yeah, Chris Conray and Matt Ekstrom have volunteered to work on the lead source channel. And I think those guys are going to share a lot of thought leadership. That is really the area that I'm still trying to filter through. There's so many choices. Data sources are so complex, in my opinion, that it'll be great to have their leadership.
I absolutely agree.
One of the things I wanted to really kick it off with today is this concept of an early stage stack. And I think the four of us are really trying to nail that down in terms of a cost-effective approach. And I think what we're all interested in is, what the CRM is, the center of this stack, and how we layer tools below and above that, including the outbound email platform, as well as our lead sources. But I'd like to start with CRM. And Ben, let's start with you. I'd like to get your thoughts on the HubSpot CRM.
Yeah, so being in an early startup, so CRM is great. I think it's one of the most intuitive CRMs I've ever used. I feel personally that it was designed for a salesperson to use, not an admin or necessarily a marketing person. I do think marketing people will love it as well, though, because of how well it integrates with their marketing tool, which we don't use. The deals, and I've mentioned this in the different channels, the way that the deals are set up. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Trello, but my team is a huge fan of how Trello stacks things in columns and you can drag them around. That's how their deal structure works. And my CEOs, sometimes I've watched my CEO just spend time playing around, moving things around. He loves how it's organized. It's got all the information you need. You can customize anything or everything, any field. You can add it, delete it, make it required, drop-down box. It's, to me, and when I've seen customizing like Salesforce versus this, it's a whole different ballgame. So I like it a lot. In terms of connections, So they compete with some tools, like I mentioned earlier. Outreach will never have a connection with HubSpot CRM because HubSpot's right now developing those tools that Outreach has. HubSpot will connect with Datanyze, which I do plan on getting once we have a bigger budget. That's a little bit more expensive for us right now. And in terms of other things, HubSpot does have some open APIs. They have some Zapier connections. But it's not super important that anything's connected right now because we're not dealing with enterprise level data or enterprise level team size.
I want to ask all of you if you've used the Sidekick extension and how that works for you.
Yeah, I've been using it since it first came out almost a year ago. I don't actually. I think the free version, they don't let you search, or maybe I haven't figured out how to search. So that's something that kind of holds me back on there. When I was using Tout, I felt that I was more in control of kind of the activity that was happening. It's great to know, like, when someone opens an email, it's nice to look at the feed. And I think it works great with Google. So if you're committed to Google or Google Apps, you're set. And I think that goes for HubSpot as well. They've done an amazing job of being right in your inbox.
Agreed. And they come with about a dozen kind of sales-oriented email templates. I think there's just enough there for an early stage to get something going. Not a high-powered outbound, but a consistent outbound, maybe 10, 20 outbounds a day if you're just trying to figure out who your best customers are. I'd like to jump to Nick and ask Nick your thoughts on Salesforce, the enterprise edition.
Well, I mean, it's the tried and true workhorse. It's expensive at $125 per user per month. The unfortunate thing is that most of the third-party tools that are out there play well with Salesforce, and they require for the API integration that you have that enterprise level. So it's kind of deceptive when you look at it and go, oh wow, I'll just get the $25 Salesforce and then hook up all these other cool tools with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way as much as we'd like it to. That being said, it can do most of the things everything that you need really, and what it doesn't have is there in the third-party app store. For early stage, it really comes down to, I think, what is your main goal? And if that is like, I want to put a lot of firepower towards outbound email, then you need to find the right tool for that. And you're sort of constrained to what that plays with if you need an integration. The other option, of course, is to not integrate. So like Ben, we talked about outreach. If that's your poison or your tool of choice for outbound, then you can kind of fall back on a manual process where you export data from one to the other, a couple times a week or however you see fit.
Exactly. So it really depends on where you want to spend your outbound dollars. Any other?
I'll just add to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Salesforce, why someone would get it kind of earlier in the stage of their business would be the reporting. Their reporting is just, the problem is you have to have it set up properly and you have to have an expert kind of really know how to delve into the data. But they have so much information that you can access. You can basically create anything that you want to create out of the data in your CRM. And I think you can also do email outreach, but I think you have to pay for a higher tier to do that as well. So you can actually do a lot of stuff. It's just a bit clunkier. You have to have someone set it up for you. And that's really, and trying to hack it yourself, you're just going to waste hours and hours of work.
Thank you, Alex. Any thoughts, Ben, on Salesforce?
I mean, Salesforce does have some really advanced reporting tools. We are not at the stage where I feel like we need super advanced analytics. And going back to Sidekick, I was about to purchase Sidekick for us to have the click-to-call feature and the email tracking capabilities and templates and whatnot. But when I talked to Outreach is, HubSpot I think is $50 a month per user. Outreach is $89 per user. The only thing that Outreach did not have besides the CRM connection was the click to call with the recorded message, but they are getting that now, and they do have very, very good reporting for that whole sort of front-end outreach process. So what we're doing now is we're putting data into Outreach. Once we get to a demo set stage, that's when we then push it into the HubSpot CRM, and we're doing that manually still.
Wow, you hit my process.
It's a good one.
I love it, guys. Any other CRMs you want to toss out there for consideration for an early stage startup?
Pipedrive, Streak. I don't know. I mean, Streak's cool because if you get the free one, you can get the nice features like send later through your Gmail. You can get the open tracking and that sort of thing. I don't really like the reporting at all. I don't like the Gmail interface, even if it's partly a UI standpoint. It's not as functional as I would like. But Ben, to your point about the Trello-like dashboard, I think that's what I like about Pipedrive, and a lot of people do as well. Plus the super cheap price, so it plays well with Salesforce. If you wanted to use Pipedrive, for sort of letting your AEs manage deals and know what their middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel sort of looks like in a snapshot, I like that better than Salesforce.
Sounds good. Any other thoughts, guys?
Yeah, is Pipedrive, is that relatively newer to the mix, or it's old? And how would you compare that to HubSpot, pros and cons?
Well, Pipedrive isn't as big of a solution as Salesforce or HubSpot, so it doesn't have as many features. It's really lean. I think they've priced it too low. They've always priced it too low, which we'll see how that plays out for the health of the company. I know they've continued to raise money, so not knocking it at all. Like the product, and you certainly get more than you pay for with it.
Exactly. So if you can find a good deal, that's important because you don't want to overspend. I see a lot of startups spending quite a bit and expecting that they're going to break even. But I know there's a ramping period before you start to generate sales. So for me, budget and finding cost-effective solutions is really key. I'd like to jump to this kind of very large pool of ideas around lead sources. And I know this is a topic that we'll continue to talk about. Ben, you maybe have done some recent testing. We've talked about ring lead capture. Curious what you're finding out there in terms of lead sources, cost, and also quality.
Yeah, it was really hard, man. When I first was building my SalesStack, I went to our finance guy, and it's like, hey, here's everything we need. It's about $1,000 a month. That's not going to do it. All right, so I cut it down. All right, here's everything we definitely need, $500 a month. That's still not going to do it. So I whittled it down to like $250 a month. I think I really like Ringlead's, their profiler tool, but I mean, I'm guessing that and SalesLoft's Prospector, I don't know which one's which, are very similar in terms of how they get data and where the data is coming from. Am I still?
You're still there.
Yeah,
okay.
We lost Alex, but you're here.
I can't see myself. I think they're very similar. I was looking at Ringlead more closely because it's cheaper, and right now I'm on a budget, and it's definitely better priced. They have that capture tool. From what I was told by the Ringlead guy, was their profiler is more effective in capture. Capture uses what the profiler uses, but the profiler tool goes into more deeper detail across the web to find emails and whatnot. So I like that a lot. Datanyze is another one that I liked a lot just because they'll guess the emails for you. They put in all the different permutations that they think it could be and spit out the right one. That was really cool. I don't have a lot of use for their technology finder. And then Discover.org is my all-time favorite, but they don't have any sales contacts, which is what I need. Because Discover.org seems like it's part data sourcing, part intelligence as well that gives you extra stuff you can work with. Other than that, I'm still just using the LinkedIn tool, scraping lists, and we found an awesome virtual assistant. His name is Showquat Hussein, and he uses Zoom info. He uses Reportive. I didn't have to teach him anything. For $6 an hour, he's getting us all the data that we need.
Wow, he's hired.
Yeah, exactly. It was we had a race between 6 or 7 guys, and he blew everybody else away.
Now, is he just building lists?
Yeah, we give him the information. He just finds emails and if he can find a phone number. And then I run all the emails through Kickbox 100 per day for free.
Okay, so you give him the list and ask him to fill in email and phone.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, if you guys want me to share him, I mean, I'll spread his love everywhere. He's awesome.
Is he reproducible? Does he have friends?
I mean, we only use him for 5 hours a week. There's a lot of other hours.
Okay. Yeah, we're interested.
Yeah, I'll hook out. He's on Upwork. I'll give you his profile.
Okay, perfect. I think that's a very cost-effective solution. I think a lot of startups, I know Lindsay with StatDragon is very interested in using a VA as well, because you wake up in the morning and you've got your emails and your phone just waiting for you.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part was just getting someone and teaching them the tools. But we did some digging and we found a guy who has access to the same tools and he already knows how to do it. So problem solved.
Exactly. So he's using Zoom Info. Is he using Insights?
No, he's just using, I guess he works with a company that gives him an access to Zoom Info. And then he double checks all the emails in Reportive to make sure they're connected to something. And he's using another tool as well, but I forget what it is right now.
Do you know where he's getting phone numbers from?
I think that's from Zoom. There's definitely 50% have phone numbers, but like 95% will have emails.
Okay, that sounds about right. Good. So Alex, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, it said my device overheated. So just so you know, if you're using this application on your phone, that might happen. So now you know. So sorry I missed whatever. Are you guys still talking about finding leads?
Yeah. What are your thoughts? We've been talking quite a bit about the different tools out there. Have you found any that are consistently good and also not too expensive?
I've actually only really committed to data.com and I was using it for years. It really wasn't very good and it was expensive, so I wouldn't recommend it. I ended up sending all my lists off through Odesk to get cleaned up. I did get lots and lots of emails and phone numbers. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually using the Sidekick tool to go through websites and target customers. So I'm not doing as much high volume outreach. I'm actually identifying key companies that I want to work with. And I'm basically with HubSpot Sidekick, you basically click a button and then it's in the CRM and you can use Email Hunter to find the email. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm doing a bit more intelligent approach to that right now. And because I used to implement these processes for other companies and found just when you're buying the list, the quality and the people change so often that it's hard to really get good data.
Exactly. Your data degrades 20% over, say, 90 days just because people are jumping around. And then there's huge data markets out there where people are buying and selling data of questionable quality. Nick, I know you're familiar with a LinkedIn tool that everybody seems to really enjoy called, is it called SolutionsTool.io? No, SalesTool.io. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Before a new company jumps into doing a lot of outreach, I think it makes, well, at least outbound emailing, I think it makes a lot of sense to focus first on the internal network that you have and building out first degree connections on LinkedIn for your founders or your salespeople or both. So using that tool at salestools.io, I think it's a huge opportunity to just focus on list building and connecting with your target customers there, because you'll get a couple things out of that. Number one, you'll have a direct pipeline into their LinkedIn mailbox if you choose to use that. Number two, you're going to get a lot of emails because once you're connected, then you have access to the emails that you won't see on their public profile if they have it listed, as well as additional information that's good for your database. But then the opportunity I think you have is to combine that data from multiple people and sort of build out your first 5,000, 10,000 contacts in your database to where you can go back to that list time and time again, whether it's shooting them an email about your product or whether it's asking for a referral. So if you know that they're all first degree connections, and if you track, these are Ben's first degree connections, then I can email them and say, hey, know you're connected with my colleague Ben, was hoping you might be able to point me in this right direction. And I think that's a really effective outreach strategy that's not only cheap because of that sales tool's price is inexpensive, but also because it doesn't take that much time to really figure out all these moving pieces in order to get that data.
Agreed. Trish Bertuzzi spoke earlier along with Steve Richard and said that LinkedIn Touch, even if it's just a view, is really critical to building that first relationship. And so, Nick, I think you brought a valuable point there. Welcome back, Alex. We're just talking about a little bit of social selling. I also use Twitter to find out what's going on with the company. That way in my first email, I can chat a little bit about who's speaking where, what events they're hosting, things like that. Any other tools with regards to lead source, particularly emails? People are using Walla Norbert, Twofer. I know you mentioned Email Hunter, Alex. What kind of quality are you guys finding with these tools?
My tool is my VA is doing really well. How about you?
So your
What was
VA
that tool? Okay. Yeah, Email Hunter is kind of okay. I think I end up jumping around to LinkedIn and different places to find things.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really considering ring lead capture because I know how much they value data quality. So for me, I'm thinking I would spend money on getting a good email either from them or Zoom Info just to save on time, unless I've got Ben's VA.
I think that Ben's VA is a great idea for one of the main reasons is that you waste a lot of time, and Ben and I just chatted about this. You'll build yourself a killer list, and then so much of it drops off after you go through that filter of Walla Norbert or Email Hunter, Twofer, and the other ones, right? So you only get a certain amount of emails, and then there's a lot of them that come back that the quality's questionable. One of the strange things I've seen is you can still get bounces from the good ones, and you can also get good emails from the ones that it flags as dangerous. So it does a decent job at it. However, my personal feeling is if somebody's contacts is not available through LinkedIn and or Profit or some sort of plugin that you use, you're not going to get that much additional by hitting those services.
What about reputation? How do you measure your reputation?
Well, like Alex said, you might have some people tell you, and that's
Yeah,
the way that
yeah.
you don't really want to find out that way.
Yeah.
And to touch on that real quick, I've thought about perhaps having two different domains, one for marketing and one for sales outreach, and just keeping them separate.
Sounds good.
Are there any free email reputation tools?
I don't know about free, but there's some paid ones. I don't recall the names, but there's one that Chris and I looked at a while back that sort of monitors that for you and reports on it. Do you remember what that was called, Chris?
No, but we'll find out.
Yeah, from my research, basically the key thing is to organize every single tool that you use so that you're sending through your Gmail, and because they've got their limitations set and they kind of know what they're doing as far as email reputation. So that's kind of my recent research that I've come up with.
Very cool. Okay. So let's see what else is in this little stack that we're building. Anybody using Autopilot for LinkedIn?
I don't know what that thing costs, and I haven't used it, but looking at the features of it, I didn't really understand why there's a big value add there.
Ben, you're nodding your head.
Because with the sales tool.
Oh, we lost him.
He's frozen for me. Oh, moving a little bit.
Am I moving?
Oh, yeah. I think you're there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the salestools.io tool, and I mentioned the channel, but we got two people who I scraped 800 names, VP of sales for food and beverage industry. And just because I scraped them, I didn't expect anything. They went and looked at, and my CEO is the one that has the sales navigator tool to do the searches. So they like looked at his profile and then sent him messages. Hey, I looked at your profile. I think what you're doing is really cool. I'd love to chat with you. So it does the view the profile thing. It doesn't go in depth with like connections and all that kind of stuff. But for me, that was enough to be able to extract the information and then show people that you viewed them.
That's exactly
Okay.
what I'm thinking too. I wouldn't pay for a tool to do that because you're already going to be doing that through your processes.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. Should we try and get Alex back in here? I wanted to get his thoughts on content management. So until he returns, maybe we can chat a little bit. Content management is just as frothy, in my opinion, as lead sources. There's maybe a dozen different tools out there for sending a proposal or, heat mapping. Alex is going to join in, but I'm just curious if you guys are looking at that. Is that something that's part of your process?
So for the next big funding round, our goal is to hire a marketer, full-time marketer who solely does that stuff. Right now, we were thinking about one-offing maybe once a week, hiring someone on Fiverr to do some ghostwriting or something. We're trying to publish articles. Like one of us on the team is publishing a new LinkedIn article every week, but not so much yet.
All right, Alex, while we got you, we want to hit you up for thoughts on content management for sales as a part of an email campaign. I think you're going to be leading a channel and wondering if you can keep up, or it looks like your phone may be just constantly overheating.
I can hear you. I think this is the last thing I'm going to be able to contribute here is a bit of a mistake using my phone. But sorry, yeah, I did hear you about content. Exactly what type of content? Like, are you talking about generation or sales collateral?
Sales collateral via email.
Yeah, there's you want to know which tools there are?
Well, I want to know what attributes we should look for, and in particular, what CloseFox offers and some of the competitors as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the predominant player is ClearSlide, which started more as a presentation-based communication tool. So they're very much enterprise. They're very expensive. If you wanted the freemium model, it'd be a DocSend. And so basically, what I'm finding, what I've kind of in my research, I'm friends with Aaron Ross's business partner, Colin Stewart in Vancouver, Canada, and they've built their own tout type solution, but specifically for predictable revenue. And so one of the things that we've kind of discussed is, well, sure, you can send out all these emails and you're going to have a percentage of responses. But there's a lot of people in there that are also relevant leads. And I think picking up the phone for the right people still makes sense. So what I've been doing is implementing predictable revenue, but also including a bit more content to see how people engage with the content. If they're interested, if maybe they didn't get back to me, but I can still give them a call. And so when I was implementing campaigns for other companies, I was very successful in doing basically calls to people that did not respond that I thought were engaged through just the number of emails they opened or whatever it was. And I found it was very effective. And it was better than making a complete cold call from someone that had never seen my name ever before. So I think in the high volume outbound email lead generation process, content can be, a very clear call to action to content can be helpful. Obviously in the buyer's journey, content is a very important part of that process. And so I think for companies at such an early stage, it's really hard to find great content, and it's such an investment to do it properly. But I found that videos for me have been, similar to someone going to your website, they watch a video. I've had such success having videos in my emails and have a one-to-one correlation to videos viewed and follow-up conversations had. So
Alex, we've talked. You've told me that CloseFox is a tool for the bottom of the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more idea of what CloseFox actually does.
Yeah, so basically we've created a way to put documents and videos very easily in high volume email campaigns. I use it for absolutely everything because I'm curious, obviously. I've got customers that use it for proposals. When you look at the price, we're much cheaper than having a video and a document tracking tool. So yeah, this kind of, I mean, people have used it for the entire funnel, but I get the most value in the early stages from outbound prospecting.
Can you type the, or I'm going to type in the email address for, it's closefox.com, right?
Yeah.
And what are you offering to startups right now who are interested in testing this product?
Yeah, we've actually decided to release a limited free forever version for individual people at startups. So if you're kind of a one-man biz dev show or sales show, we'll actually give it to you for free. It might not have 100% of the functionality once we release some of the new features. But after that, if you've got more than one person, it goes to 30 bucks a person. And it's basically per seat, similar to a tout app.
Excellent.
Man.
Yep. Hey, question, Alex. You mentioned video is really strong, and that's something that I've been pushing our guys to try to make at least one kind of demo video just so people can look at it and see if they're interested. But what do you recommend in terms of producing that? Because they just keep telling me it costs a ton of money. And I figure there's got to be a more cost-effective way to get something that's of decent quality.
Yeah, absolutely. I use Powtoon, and I think you kind of know when something uses Powtoon, Powtoon, and you get like a year subscription for $300 or something, or you can go, monthly as well. They always have deals. Like this is a kind of company that really lowballs their product as often as they possibly can. It's very functional. It does take time to build the first video, but once you have one, you can edit that, and you can update your value prop. You can update the target market. You can update some of the messaging. It is a bit of a time investment. I am not a video person. I just figured it out, and I think it works. And I can actually see that it works because through CloseFox, I can see the aggregate engagement of the video. So I can see when people are dropping off on my videos and actually make them better as well, which is a side effect of what we built.
Very cool. Appreciate the tip.
We also have...
Also add doing onboarding tutorials or new feature tutorials. I found that very effective as well, and that is dead easy. It's not as quality as you might want it, but you just do a quick voiceover. Takes half an hour to write, set up, and then you just click through the product, and I find people are watching them.
How about individually tailored videos? Has anybody played around with that for software products or B2B products?
BombBomb sent me an individual video yesterday, just saying hello on Twitter, and I thought it was pretty cool. Sean Mitchell's in our Slack team, and I know they've had a lot of success with real estate, and I think that real estate is highly customized to the individual buyer. So we could certainly chat with him. I think he'd be a video resource for both Alex and Ben and us as well. Cool. So let me take a quick look at my stack here. The other kind of key thing that I think people are looking at is this whole concept of managing the sales process. There's a number of calendar tools out there, screen sharing tools. I just wanted to kind of throw out a few ideas. Ben, Alex, what kind of calendar tools do you like to use?
I just use basic Google. I don't have anything fancy.
Yep, Google Calendar, and then cadences with outreach.
Okay.
Or sequences.
Yeah, but in terms of setting appointments, if I wanted to get some time with you, do you have an online appointment setter just to speak with you?
Gotcha. No, not yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, I'm seeing that's pretty standard, especially with AEs, because we're all so busy. How about Nick? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've used a few different ones. Right now, I use Sensama. That's been my go-to for like the past 6 months. They've improved the product a lot. There are a couple trade-offs with it, however. There are some quicker ones to book, right? Like things where, you give them the link and then they just click it and okay, great, we're done. Sensama is perhaps a few more steps. The cool thing about it though is that you can very easily customize who you give certain amounts of time or certain windows of time to. So for me, that's really important, not only because I run a few different businesses, but also I just have different types of conversations with people. And so instead of giving them one link, I have, 5 or 6 different links of different blocks of time that I give to different people, for the right type of a meeting. And I find that that's a personal way to do it. Of course, it integrates with the Gmail calendar, and that helps out a lot there. And then, so that was calendar. What was the other one that you asked about?
Calendly is very, very popular.
Oh, I mean, was it, so you were asking about calendar tool and something else?
Screen share.
Screen share, yeah. Join.me, free version, never paid for it. And then sometimes I use freeconferencecall.com if I want to do, more than 3-way calling.
So is Sensana like a time trade?
Time trade. Yeah. Well, yeah, essentially. It's free. It's free right now.
It allows you to open up your calendar. So for me, I'm free from 4 to 6. If somebody in our Slack team wants to book some time, then I'll get an email and then I can confirm. I'm curious, Nick, I don't think they have Outlook integration. Do you know if that's something that's coming down the pipe? I haven't talked to those guys in a while.
I haven't talked to them about that subject for a few months. I know at one point it was. I couldn't tell you if it's on the roadmap now.
Okay. Those guys, Travis and Ashutosh, are local to Portland. They're also in our Slack team, so we might want to get them to manage a calendar channel. We have a meeting with Alex, just to diverge briefly, on Monday. I'm hoping you can still make it, Alex.
Yeah.
No pressure.
To basically revamp our channels, because we have a number of thought leaders in the group, and it seems like we're kind of all over the place in terms of how people are engaging, but we have a lot of people. So just wanted to throw that out there that our team is growing. Nick, I don't know if you have a chance to drop a link into our SalesStack Slack team in the chat bar. It would be great for anyone in our audience that wants to join. And just wanted to see if there's any other tools in your early stage stack, guys, that you feel like are really important, really useful, and real time savers that are not too expensive.
I mean, Kickbox.io, I'll plug again, just because you get 100 free email verifications a day, and that's more than enough. We're going through like 150 leads a week, so 100 a day for verifications is pretty awesome.
I would say don't forget that your phone works too. So these are all great tools, but nothing beats a good phone call. That's my perspective.
Yeah, I'm on board with Kickbox too. If I'm pushing 1,000 leads a week, it's less than 50 a day. If we're talking 7 days a week, so that 100 limit actually allows you to stay caught up if you're diligent about it. I mean, you're going to forget, right? Some days you're not going to do it. Whatever. If you need to pay for it, you can. But I think that's definitely a worthwhile tool.
I'm going to give a shout out to Ring Lead Capture, a great source for leads. And I'd say you guys should all hit up Dan Sarabalo and our team. I know he's got some trial tokens available for us. And we'll get him into the lead source channel next week. We've got just a few minutes here before we're going to wrap up. Is there anything that you guys want to see in the Slack team in terms of specific channels?
Maybe marketing automation. You guys already have the tool stack, because that's kind of the next thing we're looking into is sales hacking the marketing side. But I guess that's not really sales hacking.
Just a random idea is, we had a great conversation today, kind of stepping through the different things that people use. Maybe each one of those topics or something that would be an interesting channel.
Perfect. How about you, Nick?
I'm all for having less channels but more engaged. So this idea of having one leader for the channel, I think, is really cool because it gives that person the opportunity to sort of relax. I know when I'm looking at a million channels, I'm like, oh wow, what content am I going to post and where do I put it in? But if there's only sort of a handful of channels but they're well used, and one person can spend their time moderating that versus you or I having to think about all of them, that's I like organizing it.
Yeah, and a couple of people have reached out, and I've reached out. We've got about 8 to 10 folks that have really expressed some interest, and they've got a lot of experience doing podcasts. So I think we're going to get a really strong community out of this. I'm going to send you guys like a new channel map, if you will, and I'd like you guys to think about it over the weekend, and then we can kind of button it up during our stand-up call on Monday. Ben, we are wrapping up our 3-week cohort sprint. I was just curious if you had any final comments about how that sprint went for you and what you got out of it.
So if anything, it was just the hordes of information. I mean, the connections you guys have and the people you've brought on. That Jason Vargas and Sean Kester interview, and there was another guy in there too, Phil, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, Richard. That was one of the most incredible, I guess, most insightful things that I've read or seen in terms of structuring an HDR process. I'm reading everything I can, HubSpot, Datanyze, everything they're producing, but that specific, and I never would have known it existed if I hadn't been in this group. So thank you guys for having me a part of it, just because the resources you provided and the information have been tremendously helpful.
Well, you've been a superstar in the cohort. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Ben's done great, and there was a few in there that took it really seriously, the homework, and I think a lot of people that stepped through the ICP process really learned a lot more about their product and thought at a deeper level about their customers than they had before. And and it takes experience and discipline to do that each time, because as a founder, you think you know your product, you think you know your customer, but breaking it down and talking about it with other people and getting very granular with it, I think that can help most people.
Yeah, as Kyle Porter said, go an inch wide and a mile deep with your ICP. I mean, really mine that vertical just as much as you possibly can. So we had a breakthrough last Thursday after speaking with Sean, Jason, and Richard, which is that the C-suite doesn't always, willingly embrace the SalesStack. And so I put a call out, I think it was yesterday, for case studies. And fortunately, I got 2 responses. And I'm excited to say that we've got some very cool Blab interviews in the works right now. With some very big companies that you'd recognize, as well as some clients that they share, and talking about the sales revenue, where it was going before, and then after they started to implement some of these tools. So we are looking at maybe another premier Blab style interview with some real data this time, not just process, but really looking at data to help other companies start to embrace what we're all talking about and help sales acceleration move into the C-suite along with marketing, because I think we know that marketing does command a bigger chunk of the budget. What are your thoughts on using case studies to help increase sales?
I think they're amazing. Just using them myself. I've got very simple ones, which is why I haven't contributed one to our group, but I definitely do some more research. But from my customers that are using them, you can actually see how engaging they are. So,
yeah, I completely agree. It's one thing to have numbers that are hard and finite, going, yeah, they had a 30% increase in XX, but if the product is innovative enough, which is what we're finding, we came up with 2 case studies that are more just walkthroughs or use cases and walking them through the case study of the use case helps them immediately see, even without a number attached, holy cow, I can do the same thing. I can definitely use this tool as well.
Fantastic.
You can also really connect with challenges and solutions. So, like any pitch should have, this is your problem. You can really highlight that, and it's a much clearer picture when someone finds time to read it.
Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, the case study thing, of course, getting the C-level buy-in, that helps a lot. What I'm really interested in looking at as far as studies is, how do I balance my budget for sales and marketing? So, for instance, if I have, 50,000 that I'm going to spend this year on sales and marketing total, how do I adjust these ratios at different times to get the most bang for my buck? And knowing those numbers, kind of, you can run some Facebook ads and see how they convert and get a pretty quick idea on what that cost. The sales thing is a little more nebulous when we're talking, well, now we need to stack, we need to run campaigns, we need to set meetings, and then follow this closing process and, document all these stages. It's a little more challenging than just seeing how many impressions or click-through rates you can get from marketing. But this idea that at some point, I might want my sales spend to be a lot higher, and at some point I might want my marketing spend to be higher too. Being able to measure those and know exactly when to do that is some really important intelligence right now.
Excellent. I love that approach. And I think that's what we're going to wrap on here. This has been a fantastic blab, you guys. We have really shared a lot of information, and thanks to Lindsay and Todd and a couple other folks out there. I'm pretty sure that, Nick, we got a good Camtasia recording of this. And so we'll have it available on the SalesStack YouTube channel. And I think that this conversation will continue, even though our sprint cohort is starting to, wind down. We're going to revamp that at some point in the future. Is there anything else you guys would like to leave our audience with before we sign off?
Thank you, Chris and Nick, for putting SalesStack on the map, helping defining it as not just an ideal, but an actual tangible process. I feel like you guys are going to be superstars in the next 6 months to a year as this thing grows, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.
I think there's nothing but upward momentum on this, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, let's grow some companies.
Move it up and to the right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a great afternoon, and we'll see you in Slack.
See you then.
Later.